Welcome to Aging on the Suncoast. I'm your host, Jason Martino. This year, the Medicare Annual Enrollment Period starts October 15th and ends on December the 7th. This period is a critical time for Medicare beneficiaries to review and understand their Medicare coverage. To help consumers in Pasco and Pinellas Counties, the Department of Elder Affairs SHINE program provides unbiased, free, and confidential counseling to assist beneficiaries make independent decisions in order to maximize their Medicare health coverage. On today's show, we've invited Janet Mills, the SHINE Area Coordinator, and Charles Franckle, the SHINE Local Area Coordinator and Statewide Trainer. Together, these two seasoned SHINE volunteers will shed light on a valuable program that has helped beneficiaries navigate a complex system of healthcare coverage for over 23 years. Janet, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, Charles, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here.
This is not your first show. You've been to the show many times, and we've talked about the same subject, and I'm so happy that you guys can come back. So, in the beginning, when I was reading the, when I was going over the monologue for the show, I talked about the critical dates that the annual enrollment period is going to go to, and we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about SHINE in general today. But one thing I think is important is that at the latter part of September, beneficiaries of Medicare will start to receive their new 2017 excuse me, Medicare and You book. And on the back of that book, just to highlight the importance of the SHINE program, it does show people all across the state that if they have questions about their plans or their and they're a Medicare beneficiary, that they can call the SHINE program. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And let's just roll with some basics. Janet, tell us a little bit about the SHINE program. What is it?
SHINE is a volunteer program with management. It is a national program. The counseling is free and unbiased, and anybody can give us a call or go to our website for information.
Yeah, it's been around for a long, long time too. So what happens in SHINE, Charles? What type of assistance does somebody receive with the SHINE program?
Okay, well, annual enrollment period especially, as people are reviewing their options. There are many different ways you can get your Medicare. And people have already chosen certain plans, and we can help them search and find out if that's still the best, if there's a better one for them, whether or not they want to change, they should review their plans. So that's one of the things we do. Okay.
And Janet, how many the types of people that call, in your opinion, is it just a Medicare beneficiary, or is it can it be anyone that calls, or what's the target population?
In general, it is people that have Medicare and they could have issues, or it could be people that are going to be new to Medicare and going to decide if they're going to keep their employer plan perhaps or move on to Medicare. It could be people who are under age 65 who are disabled and are on SSDI, or even very young people who are disabled and have become adults. So there's a broad spectrum.
Well, I think it's important that you say that, because I think for some of our laypersons, including myself, we tend to think that it's just a Medicare beneficiary that's going to call. So we'll talk about that a little bit more today. We'll elaborate a little bit just so folks can understand that they may have an issue that SHINE can help them with on here. We're going to talk about it on our graphics, how people can give a call, but let's just say out loud, how does one get a hold of the SHINE program throughout Pinellas and Pasco County?
You can call the Area Agency on Aging, which is the 1-800-963-5337 number, which I believe is scrolling during this program, and or the floridashine.org website. And you can send it as an email, and we will call you back.
Nice. Now, the help that you all provide, is that only provided over the telephone?
No, there are also outreach sites, many outreach sites scattered throughout Pinellas and Pasco County, where appointments can be made for face-to-face assistance.
Nice. So Charles, I'm going to go back to you on this one, and you had mentioned a little bit earlier the annual enrollment period. We're going to talk about that a lot today because it's such a critical time for our consumers in Pinellas and Pasco County to acknowledge and to take advantage of that time frame and talk to the right people about their plans and whatnot. Can you give us an understanding of what the annual enrollment period is?
Yeah, this is the time when people who already have Medicare can make changes to their plans. If they have original Medicare and they have a drug plan, they can review that drug plan. They should review that drug plan and see if it's still the right one. If not, they can change at that time. If they never had a drug plan, it's the time they can add one. If they have an Advantage plan like an HMO or a PPO, they ought to review that and see if it's still the best one for them, because they do change. As you mentioned, the Medicare new handbook comes out now, but if they're in a plan, also the changes to that plan will come out, and they ought to review those. But sometimes that's difficult to do, and it doesn't tell you what the other plans have to offer. So you ought to review, is it still the best? People can go back and forth between original Medicare and their Advantage plans this time as well. So it's the one time during the year where everybody can pretty much make a change.
Yeah, such a complex system. I'm so happy that you all are part of the system, and I think that if I need personal help with my family or whatnot too, you two would be one that I would lean on because of your vast amount of knowledge on that. We said it before, but you want to say it out loud again, what the time frame is for the annual enrollment period?
Sure, it starts on October 15th and goes through December 7th. Don't wait till December 7th, please, because to begin with, there may be other questions. You come and you call us and we say, here are the various plans which might work for you. Do your providers take them? Well, you've got to call up and find out, you know, is this someone that will take these plans? You don't want to choose it if they don't. So sometimes some additional research is needed.
Yeah, and it sounds like any of the issues that might come up or the plan selection like that, it just doesn't get accomplished maybe in an hour. That sometimes there has to be some follow-up to it, and
absolutely,
that's the benefit of maybe starting a little bit earlier to investigate what's going on with that rather than waiting towards the end of the enrollment.
You know, you don't want to miss your opportunity. If you miss that deadline, then you're with whatever you had, you have for another year.
That's right. That's right. Let's talk a little bit about the gap. I remember years ago the word the gap and the donut hole was a buzzword, but it was a pretty important buzzword too. Is this a good time to review your plans to see if you fall into that gap or donut hole?
Absolutely. There are lots of people who are in that donut hole or gap now, and if they call us, we can look to see if there are any patient assistance, prescription assistance programs to assist them to lower their costs. Also, they need to reevaluate with their doctor perhaps if it's possible for them to be prescribed a lower cost medication.
Yeah, so it's important to reach out to you all and kind of figure out those things. Shine volunteers. I work with you all on a daily basis. I see that you buzzing around and humming around the office. You're always busy. Tell us a little bit about what other vital roles they play throughout the Shine program.
Okay, well, throughout the year, people are becoming eligible for Medicare, whether they turn 65 or it's because they have disability and become eligible. So we will certainly help people throughout the year to choose the plans. But people also have problems with their plans. We can help sometimes resolve those. There might be billing issues. Shine does not provide funds to help with billing, but we can help, you know, work with the providers and others to see what the issue is. And if there is an appeal necessary, usually the client themselves have to do a lot of the work on that. We can't get records for them and so forth, but we can guide them through the process and, you know, give them some reassurance that they're doing things right. There's also, which Jan and I will talk about a little more, there is some financial assistance available to a lot of people. And we can help them apply for that, explain what it is, and that's a tremendous benefit to many people.
Yeah. I want to go back to annual enrollment, and I know that you all are very busy people, and you run across a lot of different individuals that need help. And it may be helpful for our audience to hear an example of a type of case that you've had where it was beneficial for that person to call the program. Either they saved some money, or they had their medication formulary was less confusing now, or their doctors picking like that. Janet, do you have anything that pops in your brain that you thought was a real success story?
Yes, people who are in the donut hole, to go back to the donut hole, or can't afford their drugs, and we're going to talk about that later in the program, I think. But if those people call us and we find they are within the income and asset parameters, we can help them apply for the government help. We can help them to look up the patient assistance programs and send them those applications, which are extremely helpful to them. So that can add up to basically thousands of dollars in help.
Yeah.
Right.
And thousands of dollars and even tens of dollars is a help when you can save that money on there. Charles, anything that pops in your brain?
Well, last week I was working with someone who had called because they went to the pharmacy and their drugs are going to be over $300. and they'd lost their Part D plan for various mix-ups. Essentially, someone thought premiums hadn't been paid. They had already taken the main step. They had gone to Social Security and applied for extra help and been accepted, but they couldn't get them this month. So I was able to tell them about a program that allowed them to go ahead and get those drugs at their pharmacy. So this not only saved them over $300, but enabled them to get their drugs. They just would have not gotten their drugs.
Yeah,
you know, so it's not that they found $300. They were now able to afford their drugs.
Yeah, which is the most imperative piece of that too, getting those medications so they can thrive like everybody else on there. And so I think we have a minute or two, and we're going to go to a break before we go to the second segment on here. And any closing thoughts about annual enrollment period? I mean, Charles hinted on something a little bit earlier about you know, the plan choice is something that you're going to...
Yes, call the helpline or go to the website and ask for help early. And when you call, when we contact you, it's very helpful to know what plans your doctors accept, and to have your prescription drug list as you currently take it, be able to give that to us, because those are two determining factors that are going to drive you to one plan or another. And we are all HIPAA compliant. We are completely unbiased, and this is an education advocacy program. We're here to help.
Yeah.
I might just say that people that we're dealing with in annual enrollment have been through this process usually and already chosen something, and it was a hassle, so they don't want to do it again. But it is important. You can save money. You can find out that your doctors no longer take a plan, that your drugs are no longer covered. So you really should review, and we can help you.
My grandma would not like me saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway, just because of the fact that she's one of my biggest examples of somebody that feels comfortable with a plan. They've had a plan for a very, very long time, and my grandma lives in another state, excuse me, and they don't call it Shine in that state. They call it something else. I believe it's Shiva, where they're at. And I've long encouraged my grandma to take the necessary time, talk to a Shiva counselor in that state, and I'm not trying to confuse it with our Shine program over here, just so she can take a look at her plan, her doctors, her formulary, any monies that she can be saving. And she's long told me that she was very comfortable with that plan. She's had them for numerous years, and I believe that I also heard out of her mouth is that they've been real good to her. So when you run across a consumer and it's hard to negotiate with them on making good decisions about always taking an evaluation of their plan from year to year, well, which ways do you try to encourage them to do that?
Well, we never recommend any particular plan, but we do say, have you looked at this and this? And these are the important things in looking at your plan. And as I said, they're going to get this thing that tells them changes, but it's hard to go through, and it doesn't tell them what other plans offer. So, you know, sometimes they're able to say to people, here's, you know, you can save a lot of money going over there, and they say, yeah, but I'm really comfortable with, that's fine. That's their decision. But
at least they've been educated.
At least they've been educated. That's our role.
Yeah, and that's the major role that you guys play, is you educate them on the benefits of taking a look at an advantage of different things like that. You made a good point. You can't tell them what plan to take out there, but you can offer them some options that are commensurate or that may work in their favor, correct?
Absolutely. And you know, what's important, most important to them, that's their decision.
Yeah. So again, the annual enrollment period, October the 15th, ends on December the 7th. Don't hesitate. Don't wait till the end of the beginning of the end of the enrollment period on the 7th, and call up the Shine program. You guys are going to be pretty darn busy as well. Any expectations for consumers calling when? I mean, are you going to be able to immediately get back to them, or is there a little time frame that you can get back to them within?
There's usually a lag of maybe 3. We try to call everybody back within 3 business days. That's our. But the other thing I would like to say is that there are no silly questions. If you have concerns that are related to health insurance, please call us because, again, this is an education and advocacy program.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I don't think there is any silly questions whatsoever. I'm sorry, I got a little bit of frog in my throat, and I'm trying to think of one more question that we can cover right now. Anything important that you'd like to say before we end up going to our break?
Well, we might talk a little about people who want to become Shine counselors.
Yeah, we can do
And we're always looking for good qualified people, but it is a little different from your typical program. It does take quite a commitment. There's a lot of training involved. And people who do it are really interested in helping people. They need to have some computer skills. They need to have an interest in analyzing things as well as dealing with people. And
let's spend some good quality time on that when we come back to a break. Janet, I'm so happy you came on the show again. Charles, I'm really happy that you came on the show again too. Please stay with us while we take a short break. As usual, don't forget to have a pen or pencil ready. During the break and at the end of our show, we'll be running contact information for the Aging and Disability Resource Center, as well as the State of Florida SHINE website.
Elder abuse is always devastating, but it may not always be obvious. Isolation, coercion, and the withholding of medication are only a few of the more subtle forms of elder abuse that occur every day to thousands of our senior citizens. Please join me in the fight to end elder abuse. Our elders deserve better. Visit the website of the National Center on Elder Abuse. It's time to speak up.
Welcome back to Aging on the Suncoast. During the first half of the show, Janet Mills and Charles Franckle helped us understand how the SHINE program can help Medicare beneficiaries make critical decisions unbiasedly and for free. So let's continue this important discussion and delve into some additional resources that can put money back into your pocket. Janet, welcome back to the second half of our show. Charles, welcome back to the second half of our show today. In the beginning, in the first segment, we talked a lot about the SHINE program in general. We talked about the annual enrollment period, why that's important for people to start to invest the time to look at their plans at the earlier part of that time frame. And we talked about some generalities of what a SHINE volunteer could do. So let's shift gears just a little bit more, and let's talk about some of those programs that I mentioned during the monologue that can hopefully put some money back into those programs. One of the ones I'm thinking about is the low-income subsidy, Janet. And in our world, we use a lot of acronyms or whatever. We call it LIS. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, the Low Income Subsidy Program is a Medicare-based program to help pay for prescription drugs. And you can apply for it online or by paper. Social Security is the vehicle through which you apply for that program, and they like you to apply for it online. You can do that very easily by calling the SHINE program, and we will actually do that application with you. It takes about 15 minutes, and we will send you a confirmation page that has transpired. And within 3 to 5 weeks, you should get your answer from Social Security as to what level, hopefully, you have qualified for assistance.
Thank you. I'm very careful to talk about a lot of the eligibility requirements on the show, because I would hate for people to screen themselves out. But can you give us a kind of a broad view of who typically is eligible for the low-income subsidy?
Well, if you are a single person, the maximum gross income per month, and we always do it per month, is $1,491, and the asset level is currently $13,630, which does not include your home if you own it or are buying it, one automobile, and your personal possessions. They're looking for things like other property, stocks, bonds, money market, CDs, that sort of thing. So if you are within, and it's a little less than double for a married couple, but if you're within those kind of parameters, please call the program. For a married couple, you can have double in assets and $1991 in income this year. Changes usually a little bit, and I mean a little bit every year, but it can be a really big help.
You have a tremendous memory, so I take it that it's not the first LIS application that you've taken to take a look at that. Yeah, I heard you mention that most of the time those applications go through the Department of Social Security, but obviously we want people to call SHINE program, correct? So they can get help with that?
Absolutely, and we can do it for you. It's such a painless process.
Yeah. I like to spell out expectations for some of our audience just so they aren't misled. When you help that person, and I guess I'm just thinking through a case, and you submit that application for them on their behalf through the Social Security. Is it the SHINE program that makes the determination on the application if they're eligible or not?
No, it is Social Security. We are the helper bees.
Yeah, yeah. You're the supreme vehicle to get that that information where it needs to be. Charles, I kind of had a little backwards today when we were making up our notes today, but I know that you're just as qualified to talk about it. Let's talk a little bit about the Medicare Savings Program. In our world of acronyms, we call that MSP. What is it?
Okay. MSP, a Medicare Savings Program, but it's really a Medicaid program.
Okay.
And there are 4 of them, but there are 3 of them that were determined with, and the thing they all have in common is that they will pay the Part B premium, which this year is either $104.90 or $120.90 for people. So you figure on an annual basis, that's saving them over $1,200 a year, just that part. And depending on the level, that may offer additional benefits, including some help paying health costs. But the thing they all have in common is paying that. Now, this is something we can also help them with. It can be done online, but unlike the LIS that Janet was talking about, we can't do that for them.
Okay.
Okay. But we can send them a very short form. We can help them fill it out and send it to them, and they can sign that and send it. Now they're dealing with the Department of Children and Families, which is the state Medicaid agency on this, not with Social Security. So it's a little different, and the application may take a little longer to process than it does with the LIS. One of the other benefits of it is that you automatically get LIS if you qualify for this program.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Although we recommend going ahead and applying for the LIS anyway, because you may not get the other one.
Right.
Or you may not get it for quite a while, and you could have gained the LIS sooner. So it can be a tremendous benefit to people as well. And you know, we're glad to help people do that.
Yeah, and similar to the low-income subsidy and my fear of people screening themselves out because they don't think, on a broad level, what types of folks are generally eligible for the
Okay,
MSP
well, the income and asset levels are a little lower than they are for the LIS, so people can apply and be accepted for LIS and not be eligible for this one. For an individual, I believe it's, $1,335 a monthly income? 57, okay. You're adding the $20 on for the disallowance, which I don't know if we do on LIS, it might be higher. And the assets are 7,260, if I remember, or thereabouts.
Right.
Now, one of the things we recommend is that there are some times when certain types of income count or don't count, and assets may count or not count. So if someone thinks they're in the ballpark, go ahead, apply. We'll help you apply. You know, worst can happen, you get turned down.
Yeah.
Good news is you can get the assistance.
That's right.
So, you know, don't screen yourself out because you say, oh, I'm not there. There may be things which you're not thinking of, or we're not thinking of.
I just love your memories and then your ability to bounce off each other when you're fact-checking.
And one of the big factors that in getting MSP or LIS is that it allows you to change your plan more than once a year. So let's just say your doctor ceased taking your plan, or you had issues with your plan and wanted to make a change. That allows you to do that on a monthly basis. So it gives you a lot of freedom as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Excellent point. So I
And
heard
the main reason, I'll just elaborate on that a little if I may, the main reason for that is that people get new drugs during the year.
Right.
And these plans, they only work if the drug is on your formulary. And so if the drug's not on your formulary, the financial assistance won't be there. So this allows you to find a plan where it is on.
Makes great sense. Call the SHINE program to get help with the LIS program and the MSP program. And then for the LIS, Social Security is the determinant of that eligibility. And then also DCF, Department of Children and Families, will determine it for the Medicare Savings program on there too. Let's shift gears again. We have a couple minutes left of the show, and let's talk about volunteers and some of the great things that you guys do for the program. Last year, I know that you all served over 23,000 people between Pinellas and Pasco County. That's an immense amount of work for a SHINE volunteer to do. So let's talk about volunteers and how somebody may want to get enrolled into that program. If I was a person that potentially would like to be a SHINE volunteer, what should I expect?
Well, you should expect to go either to the floridashine.org website, where you can learn about the program and also learn how to make contact with the program manager, or you can call the Area Agency on Aging and express interest. In general, it appeals to a person who is a lifelong learner, who has a lot of patience and really loves helping people and loves figuring out problems. That is very satisfying to that type of person. We are a team. We all work together. We are very HIPAA compliant. We discuss problems, but never anybody's names or any other anything related to what we're doing.
I like the term you used, the puzzle solver on there too. Briefly, what kind of qualifications do we expect them to bring to the table?
Well, everybody's going to have to go through background screening, which will include fingerprinting. And then it is a commitment on our part because there's a lot of training involved. Initially, usually what we do in RPS is there's a 3-day initial training course. And after that, they have to go through mentoring with a seasoned counselor for a while until they become comfortable. And then depending on whether they work at a counseling site or by phone from the office or home, or there are various ways they can fulfill their commitment, there's time which needs to be spent in doing that. And then there's continuous training throughout the year. Maybe it's individual topics which are covered in a course, or we have quarterly meetings which people attend, and we have additional training at that. Goodness, it goes.
Medicare never seemed to be a static world. I imagine that the training is trying to keep up with the curve of changes.
Even if it didn't change, there's always something new to learn, and that's one reason I enjoy teaching the course. I always learn something in doing it, or every day I seem to learn something, but then it changes as well. So, and a lot of what we do is teach people where to go for the answers. You don't have to memorize it. We end up memorizing things because we do it so often, but every time I do it, I'm referring back to something, usually on the internet.
All right, so now another hypothetical situation. I was a potential volunteer. I understood the requirements of what the program would like, and now I'm a volunteer. And so what benefits is the volunteer getting from the program, Janet?
Basically, the satisfaction of giving and helping people. It is a 2-year minimum commitment to become a counselor, but it is very satisfying, and the team approach really works very well. Like Charles mentioned, we have continuous education, quarterly meetings, and it is a wonderful program. It's well needed.
And you two are wonderful people. I'm so proud to work with you on a daily basis. Thank you very much for coming on our show and talking more about enrollment and the SHINE program. We hope you enjoyed this month's broadcast. We also hope this episode sparked your interest to contact the SHINE program in order to seek help during the annual enrollment period. Please remember, this critical period ends December the 7th, so start the process earlier. We'll see you next month, and until then, please make every attempt to maximize these free and exceptional resources.
Elder abuse is always devastating, but it may not always be obvious. Isolation, coercion, and the withholding of medication are only a few of the more subtle forms of elder abuse that occur every day to thousands of our senior citizens. Please join me in the fight to end elder abuse. Our elders deserve better. Visit the website of the National Center on Elder Abuse. It's time to speak up.